I'm not gonna mince words with you guys. Like, I've seen all the Pixar movies, cause obviously I have, but I never really cried or anything because apparently I'm a cold-hearted bastard. But I gotta be honest, man, no other movie I can recall has ever touched me in my, soul, more than this one, dude. And I really wasn't expecting too much looking at this synopsis. 30-something dude has a dream, he fucking dies, and he has to put all his faith in Tina Fey to be revivified. Now, let's put aside the very legitimate issue about Disney always transforming their POC lead characters for a sec. The movie itself is actually pretty dope. Okay, not every joke hits, and all this world building surrounding the souls is hella convoluted, but where this movie's worth and pepper lies is in its central themes, and that's exactly where my sentimental ass truly resonated. So Joe Gardner may be my favorite Pixar protagonist of all time. See, he's this middle school music teacher that wants to be a world-class jazz musician, right? But then his mama is all like, son, a career in performing arts doesn't pay jack shit, so get off your lazy ass and get a real job! But since it's not what you know but who you know that matters, Joe lands himself a gig at a jazz club that may very well jumpstart his career. But then shit hits the fan and he has to fight the plot to achieve his dream. Now, I've seen these kinds of underdog stories 100 times, so I knew that Joe was gonna kill it at that gig. And he does. No catch, no twist, no nothing. He succeeds and dies a happy man. The end. Oh wait, no he doesn't, because then Joe realizes he's not happy. Despite his passion being everything he hoped for and being a respectable dream in its own right, he doesn't feel fulfilled. And that's when I knew this movie was going to be something special. So why wasn't he happy? Because Joe fell into the trap that so many young creatives fall into, that your life is only worth living if you're doing what you love. And frankly, that is bullshit. Passion is Joe's greatest strength, just like every other animated protagonist who wants something. But where Soul differs is that it recognizes that passion can also be your greatest weakness. Now, that's easy to see if the character is a douchebag who just wants fame and fortune or something. But music is as unproblematic as they come, and yet the film isn't afraid to show that even an admirable passion like that can fuck you up. And that's exactly what happens to Joe in this movie. He's an upstanding guy, for sure, but his greatest flaw was that he was basically living a romance. The dude was so caught up in his starving artist fantasy and how he was gonna one day change the world, that it ended up compromising his daily life, particularly the man's personal relationships. He tuned out his students, his barber, and even his own mother to an extent. All he wanted was to play jazz, dedicated his entire existence to it. Flat out said he'd rather starve if it meant he could play. And I swear, man, it was like looking into a mirror for me. I wanted to jump into the movie and be like, Joe, my dude, you don't want to go down that path. If you only live for the art, you're gonna fucking lose yourself, man. Don't make the same mistake I did! Thank God, though, Joe's character journey revolved around him realizing that the world is larger than his little bubble of dreams, and that your passion doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all of your whole life. And really, as a 20-something failed animator who grew up on the "you can be anything you wanna be" mentality they fed you in school, I appreciate this message so much, because it reminded me a lot about one of the greatest lessons I ever picked up in my 26 years of life. Don't aim for the dream, aim for the lifestyle. Real life will give you shit, and if you put all your eggs into one single goal, you're inevitably setting yourself up to fail. If you fail at your passion, your life is meaningless. But even if you succeed, then you end up with this gaping emptiness when you realize that this is all you'll ever amount to. And I tell ya, if they had actually gone with the original premise about a guy trying to get into animation, I'd probably be too emotionally devastated to make this video. But anyway, true happiness isn't a goal, but a lifestyle. And I don't think any other character in this movie best exemplifies that than this beefcake, Des the Barber. The man wanted to be a veterinarian, but reality ensued and he couldn't afford to pursue it when he had other things in his life he valued, i.e. his wife and kid. So Des was all like, you know what? I'ma go be a barber instead. Sure, it's not exactly what I wanted to do, but it allows me to sustain a lifestyle where I can financially support my loved ones while providing me with the same emotional fulfillment I would have gotten as a veterinarian. And Joe/22 was all like, wait, are you saying that self-actualization doesn't come from a single tangible source and actually originates from a comfortable lifestyle that aligns with your personal values? Well, damn. On the flip side, this epiphany Joe has about appreciating the little things in life is exactly why 22 was such a good foil for him. Cause 22 is basically every college freshman who chose undeclared as their major because they couldn't find any one specific thing to be passionate about. But they never framed this as a bad thing. 22 didn't need a goal to strive for. They were satisfied just to fucking live in the moment, to form connections with the world around them, and to just be alive. Obviously you need a job and shit to actually do it. But the biggest takeaway I got from 22 is that dicking around is a perfectly valid way of living happily and healthily. And honestly, I think a lot of the more directionless kids back in my day, and by that I mean me, would have benefited a lot from watching this movie. So at the end of the day, Soul is my fucking jam, because it reminded me that having passion can be dangerously unhealthy if left unchecked, you know? A lot of animated movies like to treat passion as this virtue of heroism that should always be commended, but very rarely do I see a movie portray passion as a vice that can be self-destructive in its own right. You know those lost souls that close themselves off from the world for being too deep into the zone? Well, Joe could have easily been in that situation had this movie not happened, and it was only by undergoing a metaphysical and existential crisis did he realize that the true meaning of life was helicopter seeds. So big news everyone, I finally opened a Patreon. If you guys like my content, please consider making a pledge. Every bit of support counts, and as always, feel free to like this video, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button. And until then, stay tuned!